Hey guys, so today I want to talk about an indie comic series that I saw on Instagram a while back called Shadow Ghost. So this comic series is actually made by a martial artist who trains in Chinese martial arts called Curtis Fujita. Not only is he a master of Chinese martial arts, but Curtis has actually been in the comic industry for quite a while. So let's take a look at the first issue of his comic book series. So first, let's start with the art and the combat that is in the comic book series. So first of all, the art is a little bit different. I'm assuming that most of the art that's done in this comic book is probably done on tablet, because this looks more like something that was done again like on a tablet as well as on a computer, rather than the traditional paper and pencil, which is good because it cuts down a lot of coloring, inking, and painting. But sometimes that's always not a good thing, because your art could look a lot different from a different page, you know, and in this comic book series you can kind of see that happen here. But for the action, it's a lot better. You can tell that this is heavily Chinese martial arts inspired. You can tell from the different techniques that they use, as well as in this, which we're not going to cut to the story and the info that's actually presented in this comic book. The story itself plays out like a traditional wuxia story that takes place more in a modern day urban environment, which would kind of make it a urban fantasy comic book. Not only that, there's a lot of stuff in here, like from the making of medicine that they use for bruises. That's actually real. I had to go look it up, and yeah, that's actually something that's real. It's something that Chinese martial artists do use. Not only that, the story itself is actually pretty interesting. You get this mystical character called the Shadow Ghost, or I think it's called the Ghost, who became the way he was due to like magic and training and sorcery and all that. Not only that, you're also kind of getting what I'm assuming is going to be like some kind of gang battle between two schools. And this is kind of like where the urban fantasy kind of comes into play, because this ghost character is now in what I assume is New York, as well as there's going to be a gang violence a gang war between two factions that's going to happen simultaneously. And now I'm not sure if that's going to kind of like bleed into one another or anything, because again, this is the first issue, but I'm assuming that's probably how it's going to go, where the ghost kind of gets in between these two, make sure that both of them stops doing what they're doing, or it might be some kind of other third thing. I don't know, because again, this is the first issue, and Curtis is working on the second issue as of right now. He just sent out pictures of some of the artwork that he's doing for the second issue. So let's see how it goes. And honestly, from everything I saw and I read, I'm gonna give this a good 5.9 out of 10. The art is different, and it's not too bad, but there's some pages where it kind of just doesn't look as good as some other pages. But again, this is the first comic of the comic series, so the art might improve as it goes along, and it's not really made in the traditional way of like pencil, paper, all that. It's actually more what it looks like to me by tablet. So I give this a 5.9 out of 10, and I suggest that you guys pick it up and maybe continue to subscribe to his comic series, because like me, I'm gonna hold out and see how it goes, because it might be pretty good at the end.